Martin, your shoulder, please.
My best shoulder.
Bonjour, je viens normalement. C'est la chaise blanche. Toujours un VIP. Il y a la pergola, une chaise. C'est des paralysés. C'est vraiment pas bon.
Faites attention au poteau, tantôt il se renverse pas.
Han har forlatt Foreign Minister Kuleba, Dimitro, welcome to NATO. It's always a great pleasure to welcome you here. And let me start by expressing how much we admire your courage, your leadership, you personally, but also the government of Ukraine, the people of Ukraine, and of course the bravery and the courage of Ukrainian armed forces. What you do every day, standing up against the Russian aggression, is something that inspires the whole world. And as you know, NATO allies have provided support for Ukraine for many years, trained tens of thousands of Ukrainian troops, and now allies are providing equipment, support to you to uphold your right for self-defense, a right which is enshrined in the UN Charter. And it is an urgent need to further support Ukraine. And at our meeting later on with the NATO foreign ministers, I'm certain that we will address the need for more air defense systems, anti-tank weapons, lighter but also heavier weapons, and many different types of support to Ukraine. NATO also has the responsibility to, of course, protect and defend all allies. So we have, since the invasion of Ukraine, stepped our military presence in the eastern part of the alliance. And we are making sure that there is no room for misunderstanding, miscalculation in Moscow about our readiness to protect and defend all allies. You being here provides us with a very good opportunity to sit down with you, to listen to your assessment, your analysis, and together discuss the way forward, how we can further support Ukraine. So, Dmytro, please welcome. It's good to have you here.
Good morning. Thank you, Jens, for welcoming me. I came to Brussels to participate in the NATO Ministerial and to hold bilateral meetings with allies. My agenda is very simple. It has only 3 items on it. It's weapons, weapons, and weapons. We are confident that the best way to help Ukraine now is to provide it with all necessary to contain Putin and to defeat Russian army in Ukraine, in the territory of Ukraine, so that the war does not spill over further. In the recent weeks, Ukrainian army and the entire Ukrainian nation has demonstrated that we know how to fight, we know how to win, but without sustainable and sufficient supplies of all weapons requested by Ukraine, these wins will be accompanied with enormous sacrifices. The more weapons we get, and the sooner they arrive in Ukraine, the more human lives will be saved, the more cities and villages will not be destructed, and there will be no more butchers. This is my message to the allies. It's very simple, and I call on all allies to put aside their hesitations, their reluctance to provide Ukraine with everything it needs. Because, as weird as it may sound, but today weapons serve the purpose of peace. Thank you.
Secretary General, are you ready, or are allies ready to send more offensive weapons to Ukraine? And one question to the Minister. Do you think that Germany is doing enough?
Allies are sending many different types of weapons, and I think also we need to realize that allies have supported Ukraine for many years, and these weapons, the support we have provided, is proving its importance on the battleground every day. We can see all the Russian armor that has been destroyed. We have seen Russian planes being shot down. And of course, this is first and foremost because of the bravery, the commitment and the courage of the Ukrainian armed forces. But the equipment that has been supplied is of course also of vital importance. I have urged allies to provide further support of many different types of systems, both light weapons but also heavier weapons. It is, as Foreign Minister Kuleba states, Ukraine needs weapons to defend its own country. And this is actually defensive, self-defense, also of course with advanced weapon systems. So I expect this to be one important issue at the meeting today.
When it comes to Ukraine, there should be no such difference as between defensive weapons and offensive weapons. Because every weapon used in the territory of Ukraine by the Ukrainian army against a foreign aggressor is defensive by definition. So this distinction between defensive and offensive doesn't make any sense when it comes to the situation in my country. And those countries who are saying we will provide Ukraine with defensive weapons, but we are not in a position to provide them with offensive weapons, they are hypocritical. This is simply unfair, unjustified approach. Germany, as you perfectly know, has made a revolutionary step in changing its position from not agreeing to supply any weapons at all to allowing certain supplies and providing Ukraine in particular with anti-tank weapons. However, it's clear that Germany can do more given its reserves and capacity, and we are working with the German government. on providing us with additional weapons. The issue that concerns me the most is the length of procedures and decision-making in Berlin, because while Berlin has time, Kiev doesn't.
Minister, what do you think about the most recent sanctions proposals?
Well, I hope they will be applied in full. This is definitely a step forward. A week ago, the sanctions proposals were much weaker, to say the least. We were very unhappy about it. We were working with partners in G7 and in the European Union to ensure that sanction pressure is stepped up. We succeeded, but I cannot say that we succeeded 100%. We will continue to insist on full oil and gas embargo for Russia, on de-SWIFTing all Russian banks, on making sure that all ports are closed for Russian vessels and Russian goods with the minimal number of exemptions from it based on humanitarian grounds. And frankly speaking, I hope we will never face a situation again when, to step up the sanctions pressure, we need atrocities like at Bucha to be revealed and to impress and to shock other partners to the extent that they sit down and say, okay, fine, we will introduce new sanctions. I don't believe that Ukrainians have to pay with their lives, health and sufferings for the political will of partners to impose sanctions.
Philip Loke from Norwegian Broadcasting. Minister, what kind of weapons exactly do you need? Is it planes, long-ranging missiles? What exactly are you asking for?
Planes, shore-to-vessel missiles, personnel armored vehicles, heavy air defense systems.
Foreign Minister, if I can ask you, I think it's from the BBC. You say weapons, weapons, weapons are your priorities today. For you, on a personal note, how difficult will it be when some of the NATO allies tell you that they can't give you some weapons because they don't want to plunge the West into a wider war with Russia? And just a word on the support Britain is giving your country. And Secretary General, can you just remind us what has changed in the last few days in light of the horrors we've seen? And do you think partners in NATO, their minds will be changed today from what you hear from the Minister?
Yes, there are two ways of approaching the issue of weapons supplies. The first one is when you do not want to supply anything. You come up with the argument, we don't have to do it because it will pull us or NATO as a whole into the war. The second approach is completely different. This line of thinking is completely different. We will provide Ukraine with all necessary weapons so that neither we nor NATO as a whole will have to fight in this war, because Ukrainians will do it for us. I think the deal that Ukraine is offering is fair. You give us weapons, we sacrifice our lives, and the war is contained in Ukraine. This is it. The United Kingdom has been at the forefront of providing Ukraine with all necessary assistance, and we deeply appreciate that help.
I think fundamentally what we have seen over the last days is the brutality of this war, and that has just highlighted the importance of support to Ukraine. And therefore I think it is important that we have Minister Kuleba here today to meet all NATO allies and to discuss how we can further support Ukraine. NATO allies are providing many different types of weapons, also heavier systems, advanced systems, and also systems that can shoot down planes and of course attack Russian armor. And it is exactly as Minister Kuleba said, that Ukraine is fighting in a defensive war. So this distinction between offensive and defensive weapons doesn't actually have any real meaning in a defensive war as Ukraine is fighting. What we also have seen is, of course, that we need both the support with weapons, but also to step up sanctions, and therefore I also welcome the fact that NATO allies are now in the process of stepping up further sanctions on Russia. NATO provides support to Ukraine, but NATO is not sending troops to be on the ground. We also have a responsibility to prevent this conflict from escalating beyond Ukraine. and become even more deadly, even more dangerous and destructive. So we are providing support, but at the same time working hard to prevent escalation of the conflict.
Thank you very much, colleagues.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. In the face of Putin's appalling aggression in Ukraine, the G7 and NATO are stepping up our efforts on sanctions and on weapons. The UK is now banning all imports of Russian energy, we're sanctioning more banks, and we're stepping up our supply of weapons to Ukraine. Thank you.
Japan.
Schönen guten Morgen. Wir kommen heute hier nach unserem Arbeitstreffen gestern, wo wir uns schon zum strategischen Konzept der NATO ausgetauscht haben, zusammen, um uns weiter abzustimmen mit Blick auf die Brutalität des russischen Krieges, aber uns auch weiter abzustimmen mit Blick auf das strategische Konzept der NATO, was eben nicht nur eine Antwort auf den völkerrechtswidrigen Krieg Russlands sein wird, sondern auch ein Ausblick auf die nächsten 10 Jahre. Und zentral ist, dass wir mit Blick auf unsere eigene Sicherheit, unsere Bündnisfähigkeit, unsere Verteidigungsfähigkeit stärken und dort auch die Südostflanke in Zukunft besser absichern, als wir das derzeit tun. Ich habe deswegen gestern deutlich gemacht, dass ich zu einem inoffiziellen Arbeitstreffen der NATO-Außenminister für Mai in Berlin herzlich einlade, damit wir mit Blick auf diesen furchtbaren völkerrechtswidrigen Krieg uns in den nächsten Wochen gemeinsam weiter sehr, sehr intensiv abstimmen können. Das werden wir heute Morgen tun, vor allen Dingen auch im Kreis der G7-Außenminister, weil es gerade mit Blick auf die Zusammenarbeit von den G7 wichtig ist, dass wir auch hier deutlich machen, wir stehen geschlossen angesichts der Kriegsverbrechen, die wir in den letzten Tagen als Welt zu Gesicht bekommen haben, geschlossen in der Antwort darauf, zu reagieren, dass wir diese Verbrechen gemeinsam verfolgen, gemeinsam zur Anklage bringen und jegliche Unterstützung zur Aufklärung sicherstellen. Wir antworten auf die Unmenschlichkeit, auf die Gräueltaten von Butscha und Mariupol mit gemeinsamer Menschlichkeit. Das heißt, dass wir weitere Sanktionen als europäische Staaten auf den Weg bringen mit dem heutigen Tag, aber dies abgestimmt mit unseren transatlantischen Partnern. Und ich möchte an dieser Stelle auch unterstreichen, dass es keine Selbstverständlichkeit ist, dass Japan bei diesem gemeinsamen Vorgehen als G7-Mitglied diese Linie nicht nur gemeinsam trägt, sondern intensiv umsetzt und auch in ihrer Region für eine Unterstützung dieser Sanktionen konsequent wirbt. Wir werden die Ukraine in ihrer Verteidigungsfähigkeit weiter unterstützen. Das ist das zentrale Thema auch des heutigen Tages. Aber eben die Verteidigungsfähigkeit stärken nicht als NATO, sondern als Summe der Einzelstaaten, als Summe dieses Bündnisses. Und da wird es darauf ankommen, dass wir uns gemeinsam abstimmen, dass wir gemeinsam agieren und nicht jeder einzeln vorgeht, sondern wir die Verteidigungsfähigkeit durch ein gemeinsames Agieren der unterschiedlichen NATO-Mitgliedsländer in Zukunft stärken.
Minister, gibt es noch irgendwelche Waffensysteme, die aus deutscher Sicht nicht in die Ukraine geliefert werden sollten, weil sie eventuell eine Eskalation, eine Ausweitung des Konflikts auf das NATO-Territorium bewirken könnten?
Angesichts der Brutalität dieses Krieges, angesichts dieses völkerrechtswidrigen Vorgehens des russischen Regimes, und zwar von Tag 1 mit Beginn, war es ein Bruch mit internationalem Recht, allen Regeln des friedlichen Zusammenlebens und wie wir jetzt auf dramatische Art und Weise sehen, auch ein Bruch jeden Tag mit dem humanitären Völkerrecht. Und das macht deutlich, dass wir in einer Situation sind, wo wir immer abwägen müssen. Es macht aber auch deutlich, wie wichtig es ist, dass wir gemeinsam nicht nur deutlich machen, wir stehen solidarisch an der Seite der Ukraine, sondern wir unterstützen solidarisch und gemeinsam als Freunde und als diejenigen, die der Ukraine den Rücken stärken, eben ihre Verteidigungsfähigkeit. Und deswegen schauen wir uns auch gemeinsam all das an, was es zu einer besseren Verteidigung in Zukunft der Ukraine brauchen könnte.
Also,
so what about military support from Germany and from all NATO?
Germany, as other countries, have supported Ukraine in the last weeks in its defense capability. Also my country, we have supported Ukraine with different military weapons, and we are looking closely with our partners how we can support Ukraine in the future more intensively and more coordinated, because they have a right of self-defense, and we will support this right of self-defense together as different partners, and this is also what we are discussing within G7. Wenn man jeden Tag aufwacht und jeden Tag ins Bett geht, nicht nur mit dem Gefühl, sondern mit den schrecklichen Bildern, dass Menschen, dass Familien, dass Alte, dass Junge bombardiert, erschossen, kaltblütig ermordet werden, bewusst auf eine Strategie des Aushungerns gesetzt wird, wenn man erlebt, dass Waffen eingesetzt werden, die völkerrechtswidrig geächtet sind, dann ist es nicht nur ein Gefühl, wo ich ein Verständnis für habe, sondern ist mir fast unbegreiflich, wie man das als ukrainische Regierung, aber auch als Menschen, die in der Ukraine leben, tagtäglich überhaupt ertragen kann. Wir sind hier in Brüssel und leben in Frieden. Deswegen kann man sich das selbst kaum vorstellen. Und deswegen ist es wichtig, dass wir in der Unterstützung schnell sind. Aber es ist eben genauso wichtig, dass wir koordiniert sind, dass wir die Maßnahmen, die wir ergreifen, eben nicht nur an einem Tag wirken, sondern dass sie mittel- und langfristig wirken. Und genau darüber stimmen wir uns ab. Und ich freue mich sehr, dass mein ukrainischer Kollege Dmytro Kuleba heute hier bei unserem G7-Frühstück mit zu Gast ist. Herzlichen Dank.
Vielen Dank.
Bonjour à tous, ça me fait plaisir d'être avec vous aujourd'hui. Hi everybody, it's a pleasure to be here today. Canada will be obviously part of the G7 meeting. The goal of today's meeting within the G7 leaders is to make sure that we keep pressure on Russia. G7 has become this real coordination group where we talk about not only the strong sanctions that we impose on Russia, but also we want to make sure that there's no loopholes, that within the West we are coordinated and that every single jurisdiction can impose strong sanctions on people, particularly Vladimir Putin and his oligarchs, but also on very important companies that fuel Putin's war machine. And also, we want to make sure that we're very united in providing the lethal and non-lethal aid, and that's why we coordinate everything within the G7. For my part, I look forward also to this important NATO meeting. It's a series of many meetings. Through these meetings, we will support our partners. We know that starting February 24th, with this further invasion by Russia of Ukraine, the world has become a more dangerous place. And that is why we need to make sure that our partners are well supported by NATO. And finally, on a personal note, I look forward to meeting Dmytro Kuleba. Dmytro and I talk to each other many times a week. Canada and Ukraine are very much aligned, and we're supporting our friends in Ukraine. I still remember the eve of the invasion. Dmytro at the time was in New York, and while the war was starting, he had no fear and decided to leave New York, where he was at the UN, and go back to see his people in Kyiv. And so I really look forward to seeing him. It's been a month, and I'm convinced that his presentation here before NATO will be a part of many historic speeches that he's been providing.
Madam Minister, you will have meeting with Georgian Foreign Minister as well.
Yes.
And you will discuss how to support your partners.
Mm-hmm.
Should Georgia wait for this ministerial, from this ministerial?
Well, obviously, we support Georgia. We have a close friendship with Georgia. We have always been in favor of the open door policy of NATO. We know that Georgia is under a lot of pressure right now and is showing vulnerabilities. And that's why I just mentioned that we have to be there for our partners. Because, of course, we know that what is happening in Ukraine could potentially happen in other countries, and hence Canada needs to play its role and step up with other NATO members.
Weapons are the three things Mr. Kuleba is asking for today. What more does Canada have to give?
So today is budget day in Canada, and I'm convinced that my colleague, Minister of Finance, and the Prime Minister will have more to say about that.
Minister, how can you be tough on Russia and coordinate about sanctions when Europe can't agree to energy sanctions, to an energy embargo on Russian oil and gas?
I think that people were very skeptical that we could cancel Nord Stream 2, and we did it. People were very skeptical that we could sanction Vladimir Putin himself, and we did it. People were skeptical that we would even get to his close family, and we will do it. People should never be skeptical. Merci.
Well, today we are going to continue with our transatlantic cooperation and coordination in order to continue facing the Russian aggression in Ukraine. Everybody knows about the atrocities that has been discovered in Bucha and other places around Kyiv. In the coming days, I will be traveling to Kyiv together with the President of the European Commission. We will be visiting President Zelensky, the Foreign Defense Minister, Foreign and Defense Minister. We will, for sure, know better what is going there. And the important thing is to continue putting pressure on Russia and continue supporting Ukraine. Zelensky has a lot of support, but what he really needs is more arms. Less applause and more arms. Good words, good, but the important thing is practical issues. More resources more military capabilities to resist the Russian aggression, more isolation of Russian international community, more sanctions. That we are doing. Today, I hope the 5th package of sanctions will be finally approved by the ambassadors and finally by written procedures by the Foreign Affairs Council. I hope when I will go to Kyiv, I could announce that and other measures. And finally, allow me to remember that today in the United Nations is going to take place a very important vote where the international community will decide, I hope, to suspend Russia from being member of the Human Rights Council. It's going to be a difficult vote because it requires 2/3 of the votes, but I think that it will be agreed.
What do you think about an oil embargo? What do you think about an oil embargo?
Well, it's not on the package of the 5th sanctions, which is being discussed today. It's only coal. But things will be discussed on Monday on the Foreign Affairs Council ministers. And sooner or later, I hope sooner, it will happen.
Do you expect the publication of the new sanctions package already today, or will it be tomorrow?
And you know, it's I cannot tell if it's going to be happening today or tomorrow. But today or tomorrow, it really doesn't matter. They are looking a close look at the list of the people and the sectors affected. Maybe this afternoon or tomorrow, the latest.
Why to wait for sanctions? And I have a question. Why, for example, the ban with any transactions with Russian military structures was only in the fourth package when EU was so concerned all the January and December about Russian forces being near Ukrainian borders? Why would you wait with all those military sanctions to the fourth package?
We have been following a progressive approach. Now we are accelerating. You know, you do on the way. We didn't want to do everything on the same moment, the first time, taking into account the situation in the ground. But now the sanctions are almost completed.
Military sanctions, isn't it something...
What military sanctions? What do you call military sanctions?
No, in the fourth package there was a ban to any transaction with Russian state military agencies. For me it was a big surprise that it was actually in the fourth package. Why not after 2014 Crimea annexation? There is also news about Belgian companies...
Sorry, I don't know what you're talking about.
When you go to
Thank you.
when you offer the
Thank you.
Ukraine.
Good morning, everyone. Australia is very pleased to be participating in this meeting with NATO foreign ministers at such a critical time, not just here in Europe, but frankly for the world, including our own region of the Indo-Pacific. We have been working closely with our partners in NATO, in the European Union, particularly with the United States, in terms of the strongest possible response to Russia's unlawful invasion of Ukraine, its wholesale breach of international law, its wholesale breach of the UN Charter, and we will continue to do so. Today I'm announcing 67 further sanctions of Russian elites and oligarchs, those close to Putin who facilitate and support his outrageous actions. The events we have seen uncovered in Bucha this week only reinforce the importance of strong global coordination in response to Russia for their actions. Thank you.
Minister, when we hear about increased cooperation between NATO and Asia-Pacific partners, what does that mean? What kind of cooperation are you foreseeing?
Well, we are already doing that. We're already engaging in a cooperative sense in terms of military support to Ukraine. Australia has delivered 5 C-17 loads of military support, lethal and non-lethal, to Ukraine. We're in the process of preparing the Bushmasters that President Zelensky requested in his address to our Parliament, his momentous address to our Parliament last week. They will be transported as soon as possible. We're coordinating on humanitarian response. Part of our deliveries here into Europe for Ukraine has brought deliveries also from New Zealand, for example, in terms of their support for Ukraine. And we are strongly coordinating in relation to sanctions. The imperative is that that absolutely continues, because we need to show authoritarian states like Russia and other authoritarian states who would seek to act in this way that the world stands united overwhelmingly against them. Thank you very much.
Longer-term cooperation with NATO, I mean, NATO is obviously very concerned about China.
Well, NATO and Australia are enhanced opportunity partners. I've been working closely with counterparts in NATO since I was Australia's Defence Minister. That continues in my role as Australia's Foreign Minister. I met with the Secretary-General yesterday, particularly in response to events in Europe, of course, but also in response to NATO's work on their Asia-Pacific Partnership Strategy, which Australia warmly welcomes. That is an ongoing engagement and something which we strongly support. Thank you very much.
Ja, det jeg sier at utslippen kommer nå opp til 10-15, og så det mulig å poeng først, men det kan hende at det bare kommer etter oss. Det bare blir noe prat med meg, og så prøver jeg å få vite det til meg. Det ofte dårlig greie? Ja, men jeg kan gi beskjed om det til Siri. Jeg på vei. Ja, hun kom nå nettopp ca. 3 kvarter etter Ukrainas utenriksminister Anniken Huitfeldt. Da NRK fikk stille et spørsmål til kollega nå, så sa han egentlig at det var 3 ting de trengte. Våpen, våpen, våpen. Hva tror du NATO kan gi til Ukraina i løpet av dagen i dag?
Ja, det er jo det vi skal diskutere på dette møtet. Hva slags type hjelp Ukraina trenger nå. Og også finansiell hjelp til å holde staten i gang er jo et av de temaene som også vil komme på bordet.
Hva tenker du om den jobben som Kuleba gjør for landet sitt da han kommer til dette møtet? Det er en helt spesiell situasjon og sånn sett et helt spesielt møte dette her.
Ja, det er helt spesielt. Fordi at jeg møtte han jo 5 dager før krigen brøt ut i München. Og til nå så har han jo deltatt på skjerm på veldig mange møter vi har hatt i NATO. Og så er det første gang vi møter han nå sammen her. Og så skal jeg også ha et møte med han på tomannshånd. Så det helt spesielt når han står midt i det, og så kommer han her og forteller hva han trenger av hjelp og støtte.
Han sa at vi har vist at vi kan kjempe, vi har vist at vi kan vinne, men mengden våpen vi får fra våre allierte, som han da kalte NATO-landene, vil avgjøre hvor store lidelser og tap den seieren vil koste. Hva tenker du om det?
Ja, det forstår jeg godt, og det jo også derfor vi fra norsk side har endret en 60 år lang praksis, fordi vi har gitt våpen til ukrainerne. Men det klart at dette jo arsenaler som også går tomme, så vi vil jo diskutere hvordan vi kan støtte dem på best mulig måte i den situasjonen vi i, men samtidig unngå at denne krigen blir enda større.
Så har det kommet, vi må bare ta det, det har kommet informasjon om at også ukrainske soldater har begått overgrep mot russiske krigsfanger. Det en krig, så overgrep skjer kanskje på begge sider. Vil dette være noe dere diskuterer også med ukrainerne?
Ja, selvfølgelig. Dette jo noe som må tas opp, fordi at i en krig så gjelder jo lover og regler uansett hva slags type mål som legitime, og hvordan man skal behandle krigsfanger. Så det helt grunnleggende for alle parter.
Er du redd for at Russland kan bruke dette aktivt, og på en måte som gjør at det veldig viktig at Ukraina nå tydelig og åpne om hva som kan ha skjedd?
Ja, og jeg opplever også at ukrainerne åpne om det som skjer, og i begynnelsen av denne situasjonen så var de opptatt av å ikke foreta seg skritt som kunne virke provoserende. Det en ansvarlig partner, men vi må selvfølgelig kunne få vite alt, og så må vi sende inn uavhengige granskere, fordi vi ser på bilder om angrep på sivile. Det jo helt uakseptabelt. Og jeg vil liksom advare mot at vi begynner å tenke sånn, ja, krig krig, og at vi aksepterer de bildene vi ser. Men når vi ser konkrete angrep på sivile, som i ikke-militære klær, så det noe helt annet enn det vi har sett i veldig mange andre kriger.
Han kom jo hit fra et land som opprinnelig ønsket å bli et NATO-land. Nå har de lagt det vekk. Hva tenker du om Ukrainas fremtid og forhold til Vesten, og fremtid som et land i det hele tatt? Vil det kunne fortsette å eksistere?
Ja, det mener jeg. De har jo også bygget opp forsvaret sitt veldig de siste årene. Og vi har også vært opptatt av å styrke deres muligheter til å delta i internasjonale organisasjoner gjennom å støtte deres antikorrupsjonsarbeid, støtte deres arbeid for demokrati. Så det jo noe som ukrainerne opptatt av. Og så vil de jo også uansett kunne knytte seg tettere til Europa når det gjelder handel, for eksempel.
Tusen takk til deg, Anniken Huitfeldt. En litt spesiell seanse bare på norsk her på inngangen til NATO-toppmøtet.
One question in English, please. If Finland is joining NATO, there will be a new land border of 1,000 kilometers from Russia. Do you fear that at the end?
I think it's very important that this is Finland's own decision. So I will not comment on that because I think the NATO's open door policy is fundamental.
Madam Minister, the Ukrainian foreign minister said, you know, as my colleague said, they want weapons. And he said the deal is, you give us weapons and we'll spill the blood and stop the Russians from advancing.
Yeah.
How do you process when you hear these open comments that are very frank and disturbing to think about, that they'll spill the blood if we give them weapons? What more can Norway do?
Yeah, that will be what we'll be considering back home in Norway, and this is also what we are going to discuss today. You know, we had a 60-year practice in Norway not exporting or donating weapons to countries in war. We changed that because of the situation, so we really need to look into the situation and discuss with the Ukrainians.
But they are filming, and that's why they can move these tripods.
Good morning, Minister.
Half 10.
Sakti, and then Turkey. First Sakti.
Ja, was? Ich warte mal.
Ready?
Yeah. Ready?
Yeah. Well, Greece is going to ask the International Court in The Hague to investigate crimes of war conducted in Mariupol. Greece has a specific special interest for Mariupol because of the existence of a 100,000 and more Greek community in Mariupol. Apart from that, I'm going to ask my colleagues of the Alliance to try our best to help Ukraine to protect Odessa, so that Odessa can avoid the fate of Mariupol. Thank you so much.
Which way do you see it? How can Odessa be protected? How can colleagues from NATO help with it?
It is quite simple. By giving to Ukraine the adequate means to protect the city. They have asked for it already. I was in Odessa 3 or 4 days ago. I was able to speak with the Ukrainians in the city. I have to say they're willing and able to protect the city, provided we provide them with the adequate means. Thank you so much.
How confident are you such an investigation could provide results?
ანუ თელ საგარეოში მარტო ოპერატორმა იცის როდის მოდის მინისტრი. გამოთლით ანუ არა
Said everything yesterday.
Still disappointed by the sanctions?
Quite.
Quite disappointed.
They can change.
Maar ik heb de bieten te doen, maar ik was
Uiteindelijk had ik hem wel zondag volgende keer afspreken. Ik vind dat wel hoor. Werken zo. Ik doe dat wel leuk, maar dat is gelukkig dat je nog bent.
Ja, maar ik zeg vandaag en ik dacht eruit, dus misschien beter van...
Dat is...
Alleen mijn microfoon staat waarschijnlijk in de deur, maar ik weet dat wel wat ik dacht.
Ja, dat weet ik. Dus, ja, dat ging normaal niet komen, maar dan moet ik weten wat de wijze dan. Ja, waar ik dat dan tegen hem gezegd van tegen gedaan van nog geen recht is, maar dan...
Ja, op een bepaald moment zit je het programma horen van voor die Griek.
Sogar der Sankcje bis 19 zijn, met een chakikwaal, zoals ik
aldri kommer igjen med å skrive at man treffer seg og vůbec nemám čemu a pak se ik het speaker.
Dat hebben ze ergens staan, ja, dat kunnen ze recupereren en dan moet voor de grond. Dat is als twee uit. Maar van boven kan ik lange slus zoals straks. Zo lang moet het wel. Maar we kunnen ook zo doen, zo hè. Als je zo groot hebt misschien. En dat is wat. Ah ja. En vooral als je dan moet praten met de vertaling. Dan moet het al een kwartier, dan moet het wel te zwaar komen. Ils sont pas dans le cadre. Volgende keer zal ik misschien een KH. Oh ja, nou. Oh ja, ooit hoor. Een nummer. Ja, nummer van Budget. Ja, ja. FBI en ja, gevangnummer. Ja, en ja, deze is recent. Ja, ja. Je ziet dat ik hier meer bezopen heb als daar. Ja, ja. Ja, bij mij was ook de day after. Oh la, bij mij was ook ja, dat lag niet goed. Dat was pas. Ah nee, je hebt niet zoveel afgegeven. Maar niet afgegeven. Ja, maar ja. Als je dat tourné à droite, ils appuient là, dat mag je niet. Ja, dat mag niet. Je ça tranquillement. Ja. Ik heb gewoon maar ik moet zo een hoed leggen. Nee, maar ik was aan het denken van misschien een MKH 50 ja, als van boven is het altijd perfect. Van boven zo niet ja, dan kun je misschien beter vragen. Dat je zo eigenlijk niet altijd knal met tot de 50 van boven blijven en er is niemand. Maar voilà, je mag dit komen als je wilt, want het is ook niet je mag schaduw maken. Je moet alleen zien dat je natuurlijk... Dan moet je hier staan. Oh, dat wordt zo. Stop. Ja. Stop. Ja, gedaan. Ja, de dames. Ah, zo, ja. Oké. Ja, hier ook. Zou ik hier wel komen?
მესამე კითხვა არის ინგლისურად. დანარჩენი სუპერმარკეტი და პატარა ნაწილია იერარქიის მიწოდებაზე კულებად დასმული და ეგეც რა. მოიცი ჩემ პატარა ხაიდა პოპულარიზაცია ესე იგი. კულება პატარა პუნქტი გერმანიის საგარეო საქმეთა
Popular opinion has been changing quite rapidly after the Russia's attacks against Ukraine. So now we have opinion polls where the clear majority of the population is supporting NATO membership. Next week, and then this opens the debate in the parliament, and depends on the opinions expressed in the parliament how do we proceed on that issue, but the debate is ongoing.
If ever you will join, it could be by the end of the year. Don't you fear in between this time, those months, Russia could be interested to attack you?
Well, of course, before you are then under the NATO Article 5, of course there is this kind of, so to say, grey zone, but Finland is a member of European Union. We have the Article 42.7 inside European Union, and of course we have seen already with Ukraine that the European Union is capable to mobilize help even to the country that is not member of European Union. So we think that the Article 42.7 of course is very valid inside European Union. And at the same time, of course, I'm sure that candidate country for NATO will get some protection also for the NATO countries.
How big is your feeling of threat by Russia?
Well, currently, of course, Russia is concentrating to Ukraine and the attack against Ukraine, but I think this military action by Russia shows how much Russia is capable to mobilize if it needs and if it will do so. And of course, this is also changing the security assessment in many other European countries, including Finland, and it's obvious that Russia is ready to take higher risks that probably we have seen before. Thank you.
we are here today for unprecedented meeting of 30 allies and 9 partners all around the world. So I hope that we will be able to show clear sign of unity, that we are here to protect rule of order, and that NATO is the leading organization in that.
The Ukrainian colleague asked today for
Yeah.
weapons.
Yeah.
What more can the NATO countries do?
Speaking for the Czech Republic, we are providing Ukraine with weapons, with humanitarian aid, with political help. We provide them moral help. We are helping them in their struggle to survive, in their struggle to protect territorial sovereignty, and to help them with their European aspiration, because they want to be part of Europe. What more can be done? We are doing what we can.
What made you change your mind to send tanks now?
I'm not commenting on any specific deliveries.
Can I ask about
Yes.
discussions?
Yes.
Are you optimistic that there will be any decision on action on oil in the coming days?
The very basic principle which should be guiding us is to limit the amount of money Europe is sending to Russia. For that money, Russia is waging horrific barbaric war against Ukraine, killing people in Bucha, killing people in any other occupied territory, dropping bombs on their cities. So any sanction which will lower the amount of money which Europe and the world is sending to Russia is fine with me. We have fifth package being prepared, and let's discuss on opportunities. That would be my answer.
Should be an oil embargo part of that?
Any kind of sanction which will lower the amount of money which we send, euros and dollars which we send to Russia, it's good for me. Thank you very much. Thank you.
everyone. Ukraine will be at the center of our deliberations today. We will discuss wider implication of the Russian aggression and on global security and rules-based world order with our European partners, as well as with our partners from Asia Pacific region and High Representative Borrell later in the meeting at 12:30. We will discuss our further response to the Russian aggression and including how to strengthen our deterrence and defense, but also how to support our partners. NATO is and will remain united. We are determined to protect ourselves and ensure the security of the transatlantic region. Thank you very much. It's just on our agenda today. Thank you very much.
morning, sir.
Good morning. We have today a very important meeting of the NATO foreign ministers. It's the third such meeting since the beginning of this year, and of course the focus is on the response of the alliance to the Russian aggression in Ukraine and its effects. Yesterday evening we had a very good discussion on the preparation for the new strategic concept of the alliance, and the position of Romania, as I had the honor to express yesterday evening, was that we need a new strategic concept adapted to the reality of now. of the moment, which is the worsened security situation because of the Russian aggression in Ukraine. So we need to deliver a NATO strategic concept which corresponds to the reality which we are facing right now. And I have emphasized the fact that because of that, the strategic concept should mention explicitly that Russia is the main threat to the security of the alliance. We need also to reflect the reinforcement of the posture of deterrence and defense on the eastern flank, and not only of the alliance. We need to reflect very clearly that collective defense is the core task of the alliance. We need also to focus on many other issues like consolidation of the resilience of the allies and a new agenda, a strategic agenda, innovative agenda of relationship with the partners of the alliance. And speaking of partners, today we will start with a meeting with partners of the alliance from the region, from Europe, but also from around the globe, like-minded partners. We will discuss with our colleague Dmytro Kuleba about Ukraine and how to support further Ukraine. But we will have together with us Georgia, we will have together with us Finland, Sweden, the European Union, because the partnership between NATO and the EU is very important, but also countries which supported us in our effort to counter Russian aggression, like Australia, New Zealand, Japan, South Korea and others. So it is very important to stand united, to coordinate further, and at the same time to defend our common values. Then we will have a very important discussion on how to deal with the effects of the Russian aggression, how to support Ukraine further, a meeting between us, between the allies, and to prepare for the NATO summit in Madrid. Romania, as you know, it's the ally having the longest land border with Ukraine, and we are riparian to the Black Sea, which is more and more exposed from the Russian aggression. And because of that, I will inform our colleagues about the position of Romania that we need stronger defense in order to have more effective deterrence on the eastern flank, especially at the Black Sea. And I will ask for a swift implementation of the decision of the NATO summit on the 21st of March, especially the speedy creation of the battle group in Romania, which is the first step in balancing the NATO presence on the eastern flank, but also the second important decision of the summit in March, which is the acceleration of the transformation process of the alliance, strengthening the posture on the eastern flank. We need more forces, we need more capable forces, we need to enhance our readiness, our preparedness, and of course this has to happen on land, at air and at sea. And last but not least, we will discuss, of course, today about the humanitarian support for Ukraine. Romania has granted a lot of support for almost 700,000 Ukrainian refugees which crossed the border of Romania. Thank you so much.
Minister, lahko na kratko, lahko sam na kratko, prosim. Dobar dan. Kratko bi vprašanje. Včeraj ste imeli strateški koncept danes Ukrajine. Kaj lahko pričakujemo in predvsem kakšne so stališče? Kaj lahko NATO še stori za to državo?
No, NATO mora v vsakem primeru še naprej ponuditi jasno stališče za varovanje zemljske integritete in podpore Ukrajini. Poleg tega je pa treba jasno povedati, da imajo države članice še naprej so možnostjo tako na humanitarnem kot tudi na vojaškem področju podpirati Ukrajino pri njeni borbi za osvoboditev njenega ozemlja v mednarodno priznanih mejah.
Ima Slovenija še kakšne konkretne načrte za konkretno podporo Ukrajini?
Slovenija je že na vseh področjih podpirala Ukrajino. Kot veste, smo na področju humanitarne pomoči dali rekordni prispevek Slovenije, kakor tudi v tistih delih ubojnih sredstev, ki jih je imela Slovenija na razpolago. V vsakem primeru pa mislim, da je potrebno tudi na ostalih področjih pomagati, tako recimo MZZ, sedaj Ministrstvo za zunanje zadeve v 4 različnih programih pomaga tudi vsem tistim državam, ki gostijo begunce iz Ukrajine.
Samo še to, bi Slovenija v okviru evropske prepovedi uvoza plina iz Rusije podprla ta predlog?
Seveda, mislimo, da je ta predlog nujen čim prej, kajti dokler bo Evropska unija plačevala krvave energetske evre Rusiji, toliko časa bo ta agresija na Ukrajino dlje trajala.
Pa mislite, da bo do te prepovedi prišlo glede na nesoglasje znotraj 27?
To so razprave držav članic, kot veste se pripravlja 5. paket, mislim, da to ni zadnji in razvoj dogodkov gre v tej smeri. Slovenija, po drugi strani pa tudi aktivno išče vire za nadomestitev tega izpada ruskega plina in pri tem smo zelo uspešni. Hvala lepa.
Hvala vam.
But